So now we're going to get started on meal 3. This is our rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. So the first thing I did, I large diced our red onion and our celery here. Like I mentioned, we want a real rustic feel to this dish. So I've got these rather large. I'm going to start dicing my potato. Now, because this potato is going to go in raw, I don't want to cut the potatoes too big, because I want them to bake in the amount of time that we're baking this casserole, and I don't want our vegetables to turn to mush by the time our potatoes get cooked. Also, I've got the garlic here because I purchased the garlic to make the chili, so I had it in the fridge anyway, so I went ahead and chopped some garlic too. But again, that's going to be optional. So I'm going to just cut these up. Again, I didn't peel them. Why peel them? Just make sure you wash them up real good, okay? I've got a skillet getting hot. I'm gonna get these potatoes cut and I'm gonna start sauteing off my vegetables. Okay, so we've got our onion and our celery here softening up real nicely. We're gonna season that up with salt and pepper, poultry season, and Italian seasoning. Now we're gonna make our roux. We're gonna add in our butter here. Get that melting. Add in our flour. Once you get your butter, flour incorporated in here, we're going to pour in the chicken broth. That's going to kind of deglaze the pan and get all your good bits from the bottom, scrape it up and get it all incorporated in here. I'm just going to do a half can of the sauerkraut. We're going to use the other half can a couple bins from now. So you're going to just pop it in the freezer, just pop it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. And we're going to have that for a couple bins down from now. We're going to be making Reuben sandwiches. So I'll have the sauerkraut. I'm going to add in our half and half. All right, so this is coming up to a boil. So we're going to add in our sausage here. Remember, I mentioned that I wanted it to be rustic. So I did big pieces on this. And also, you know what? I think instead of switching this to a casserole dish, I think I'm just going to bake this right in here. I'm really digging this look of this rustic skillet look here. If you need to change yours to a casserole, go ahead and do it at this time. And then pop it back in there. You want to taste your juice too, just to make sure it's properly seasoned before you bake it. We're going to bake it for about 45 minutes, and we're going to bring it out, and we're going to taste the potatoes and the carrots. That's what we want to make sure is getting done. The rest of it will be fine. You want to make sure you taste the potato and a carrot. And when they're getting close to done, you're going to pull it back out. You're going to top it with the cheddar cheese and the breadcrumbs. You're going to put it back in to toast then at that time. All right, so while our rustic Polish sausage bake is working, I went ahead and cut up the bread. Remember, we had this piece left over from our panini sandwiches, and we can definitely use this in here if you want. If you don't want to use it, put these pieces in the freezer. Just like we're saving all the scraps of vegetables for our stock, we can also make a stockpile of bread bits in the freezer. You can pull these frozen pieces that you've been stashing out and use them to make homemade breadcrumbs. For instance, in the next bin, we're going to be making meatloaf. So we're going to pull out our stockpile. So anytime you have loaves of bread and you are not using the hills, go ahead and throw those in the freezer in your stockpile of bread, okay? We're going to pop that into the oven. So our rustic Polish sausage bake is almost ready. So I'm going to get the tomato sliced up for the tomato and cottage cheese. When you kind of get down to the end, I'll show you. You can turn it on its side and keep slicing them. Next, I'm going to sprinkle this with a little bit of kosher salt and ground white pepper. I always use kosher salt and ground white pepper. The ground white pepper just kind of seems to dissolve a little bit better. It's not as coarse as your black pepper. Also, you don't see those black specks so much on the food. And on the kosher salt, I like that because the granules are so much bigger than your iodized salt. You don't run the risk of over salting. We're just going to put some dollops of cottage cheese on top of that. This is our rustic Polish sausage bake. We've got our country bread here just to soak up all the juices from it. And then our tomato slices with cottage cheese just to have a side dish with this. Rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. Meal 3.